everyone, welcome to the stream. This is like semi-turning into a regular thing. I've managed to keep it going on a regular basis for a while, which is nice. Hi Dave, or David. Welcome everyone. Right, so welcome to the stream. Archaeologist plays Pharaoh, the 2000s Impressions isometric city building game. My name is Rachel. I'm an archaeologist, and part of my childhood development and what inspired my love for history was playing this game, which I started playing probably when I was about 7. So one way I wanted to kind of engage a bit more with my audience is starting to do these streams and playing through the different levels while also talking about the real life locations and time periods that inspired these different levels, and kind of, comparing a little bit how accurate the game is to history, which, to be fair, if you're looking at lots of different kinds of media and archaeology, game's pretty accurate in comparison to some other stuff. So we're essentially working our way through Egyptian history here, one level at a time. Usually I spend the first couple of minutes just having a bit of a chat with you guys as I wait for people to come onto the stream, because I want to give people 5 minutes to get involved. Also, we are starting or trialing something new today, which is, basically, if you've been to the previous streams, which if you haven't watched them, go watch them. I've been kind of very much beginner, trying to kind of figure out the balance of my streams. So I'm trying to play the game, read my notes / kind of lecture that I've prepared for you guys on our content for today, and then engaging with you in the chat. And as a result of this, you may or may not have noticed, my gameplay sucks. I can't claim to be a particularly good gamer in any sense of the word, but I would like to think that, having played Pharaoh for probably a few decades now, I can play it well, ish. And also I think I was interrupting myself a lot, so it was kind of hard to follow my historical notes, because I was always interrupting myself because I would read something in the chat and I would get a bit distracted and I'd go off on a side tangent, etc. So what we're trying this week is I've pre-recorded my historical notes in different sections. And so what I want to do is play my notes, and I've added images along with it. And so I'm going to play that, which gives me a chance to actually play the game, and then you guys can listen along, learn a little bit, and it's the same as if I was reading my notes. I've just done it in advance. And then at the end of each kind of section, I'm going to come back, we can engage in the chat, we can do comments, give any clarifications you want, if you have any questions, etc., etc. So each of them are only I think the longest one is 7 or 8 minutes, so they're bite size. It's not the whole thing. We tend to stream here for about 2 hours, so so yeah, I try not to overload you with stuff all at once. As I said, if you've not checked out the previous streams, they are available on my channel, on my Archaeologist Plays playlist, and they are, at least, I know they're 2 hours long each, but you can just put them on in the playground and in the background and listen to them, because they do provide context, because I don't have enough time to rehash everything I've already covered. So so they will help give you the bit of a basis, because we're kind of, like I said, we're building up through history. So Dave, you're going to school for anthropology and archaeology, and this stuff is really cool. I am glad that I can provide some content for you. I'm always happy I hear from people who are studying anthropology and archaeology. Let me know what's your specialism, if you want to go further in school, or if you could choose something in particular to study. What's your favorite? Let me know. Yes, I did put a lot of effort into it. So please at least watch the stream for a little while. um, so in our last level, King Huni had us mining turquoise and copper in the Sinai at Serbet Harim, while we were also fending off Bedouin and Canaanite armies. And so I have played the level up to the point where it's just about to finish. And so let's get started. Oh, see? That was fast. Victory! 1 second. I'm just gonna govern and then I'll reload this because I have to show off my city because I went back and basically replayed the level and the game over last weekend after my last stream because like when I play this on stream it tends to be really hodgepodge. So I just want to show you guys how this looks when I'm playing the game normally. So slow the speed down. So I've got my kind of mining area over here. I have my temple to Ra, our main patron god. I've already won, yes. I've got kind of a nice little neighborhood going on here. My festival square, and then my kind of main housing unit with my industrial domestic services unit over here. So, Vaverka, I see you're on the stream. Welcome. I'm sorry you didn't get to make it last time. So let's reload the game, and now we'll go ahead. And yay, we win again. I did better than last time. No kidding. Great. So now we get to choose again. If this is the first time on the stream, I like to let you guys choose which level we're going to play next. One of them is generally a bit more peaceful and one of them tends to be more military focused. I prepare for both levels and I anticipate at some point I will figure out playing the levels we don't choose, but that's TBD. So just give me 2 seconds. I'm going to put in the chat the poll and then you guys will vote. And I also have put this up on Instagram as a poll, so I'll do some math and we'll see which one wins in a few minutes. I could spell or type and spell, that would be great. Okay. While we're waiting for the poll, we have the first of my little interludes, my educational interludes that I've planned for you guys. So I'm going to start it. Let me know if the volume's okay because I can adjust all this stuff for you obviously on the back end. So I'm going to just start playing that now and hopefully you guys can hear everything okay, no problem.
Start our educational segments today talking about hygiene in ancient Egypt. So, as you may already know, the ancient Egyptians placed a great importance on personal cleanliness and hygiene. For most of them, bathing appears to have been done in pools, the River Nile, other offshoots of it, and canals, but we've also found the remains of shower stalls in elite and royal dwellings. In these stalls, the bather would stand on a stone slab with a drain, and water would be poured over them by a servant. Malkata, a pyramid complex built during the New Kingdom by Amenhotep III, had at least 10 of these rooms. When the palace was excavated from 1901 to 1903, a very well-preserved bath was found in a room bordering the central court. It was made of sandstone, which had been generously coated with gypsum plaster. The temple palace of Ramesses III at Medinet Habu has 2 of these shower bath stalls with sandstone basins set against the corner of the wall in a small room that drain into a basin below ground. Egyptians would wash their hands, face, and feet before and after meals, before bed, and upon rising in the morning every day. Priests were expected to bathe even more regularly. Every household, no matter the class, had some form of basin and jug that was used for this purpose. In the morning after they washed, they applied a cream, the ancient equivalent of sunblock for us, to their bodies and then put makeup on their face and wore wigs before they went out. Perfume and deodorant were also widely used. The most popular and best known perfume was Kifi. Don't know if I'm saying that right, but it was made with frankincense, myrrh, mastic, pine resin, cinnamon, cardamom, saffron, juniper, mint, and other herbs and spices. A deodorant recipe from the medical text, known as the Hearst Papyrus, recommends mixing lettuce, myrrh, incense, and another plant whose name we don't know, and then rubbing the paste on the body to prevent the odor of perspiration, or as we call it, body odor or BO. Egyptians removed almost all their body hair via shaving, using pumice stones, plucking, and sugaring. Many of them shaved their heads as well. Before they left the house, as I said, they would put on a wig and clean their teeth. The wigs were worn to help prevent lice, and they were also just more comfortable in that climate. Wigs were made of human hair until the Second Intermediate Period, when the Hyksos introduced horses into the country, and afterwards horse hair was also used in wig manufacture, and while human hair continued to be used as well. To clean their teeth, they used toothbrushes and toothpaste. Toothpaste itself was invented before the toothbrush, and it actually dates back to the pre-dynastic period. A later recipe calls for a mixture of mint, rock salt, pepper, and dried iris flower that was ground into a powder and applied to the teeth, where the saliva then turns it into a paste. The toothbrush was, at first, a stick with one end frayed to be more like a brush, and then it eventually evolved into being a notched stick that had thin strips of plant, probably papyrus, tightly bound to it and used for bristles. To keep their breath fresh throughout the day, Egyptians would suck on breath mints. These were made by mixing frankincense, cinnamon, melon, pine seeds, and cashews together, grinding them into a powder, and then adding honey. The honey would serve as a binding ingredient, which, when fully mixed with the rest and then heated over a fire, left to cool slightly, would form these mints into small candies. Let me know in the chat if you would be interested in a video making ancient Egyptian breath mints and seeing what they're like. I was reading about this and I thought it was quite cool, and this seemed to be a recipe that we actually could replicate in real life. So if you guys would be interested in watching something like that, please do let me know. Okay, so
we are going to, that's the first segment. Let me know what you guys thought of it. Is it too boring? Was it interesting? How was the volume? Would you like me to make ancient Egyptian breath mints on my channel? I'm also going to end the poll now. So our result is Dashur, which is very exciting for me because I'm not going to lie, I wanted to build the bed pyramid. Also, the Instagram results concur with you, and they voted all for Dashur as well. So we are going to proceed with that level. Let's go into the mission briefing. Well, Oh, I wonder who did that. Well, it's a little bit of foreshadowing going on in this mission briefing. I wonder. Okay, let's have a look at our level that we've chosen at Dashur. So we've got a nice, big, wide plain. We've got some good Nile fields for growing things, and we've got some rock along this side of the Nile for quarrying, which means that we're going to have a settlement that crosses the Nile, which is, it's always such a, I don't know, the word I like to use in the UK is a ball ache when we have to do this. But it is what it is, so whatever. All right, I'm going to kind of start my settlement over here. We're going to do this. 1, 2, 3. So I put that marker just there to help me figure out how big I'm going to make my neighborhoods. Hi, Mitch. Welcome to the stream. There's no game sound. Oh, I did do some stuff with the game sound earlier because I was concerned you wouldn't be able to hear my stuff over it, but let me pull it up. Is that easier to hear now? Let me know in the chat. Yeah. Right. So let's just leave that like that for now. Have a bit of an isolated settlement. All right, I'm glad that the sound is sounding better. Oh, that's the kind of joke that my husband would make. All right, let's also have just a look here. Yeah, okay, I've not got a lot of money. So Osiris is our local deity, Ra is our local deity, and Ta is our patron god today. So Ta is the god of craftsmanship, essentially, in ancient Egypt. So interesting that, I mean, obviously for different reasons they choose different patron gods for the level. Where we are is quite close to Mennefer, the capital. And actually a really interesting thing you can see on the map as well is that we've got our previous step pyramids and monuments, are some mastabas that we've built all on the map already, which I think is quite cool. Right. So the next segment that I have for you guys is on the Fourth Dynasty, which is our newest dynasty that we have that's started this mission briefing. In case you didn't miss it, in case you kind of didn't clock in during the mission briefing, they're pretty important. So I have this is the longest segment that I've prepared. So let me know if the sound needs to go up or down at all for it. I'm going to just start it for you right now.
So, as we can see from the mission briefing, we now have a new pharaoh and a new dynasty for this level. On my last stream, I was thinking about how I didn't exactly remember how we arrived at the system and the way that we categorize dynasties, especially going so far back to the earliest ones. So I gave myself a bit of a refresher on this, and I thought I'd share it with you as well. Basically, in the beginning of the Ptolemaic period, in the 3rd century BCE, an Egyptian priest called Manetho, although I'm probably saying that wrong, wrote the Egyptiaca, which translates as the History of Egypt. And in this book, he divided the rulers that he derived from different king lists and sources that he looked at into dynasties for the first time. As I said, his sources included king lists from previous rulers, although we don't know exactly which ones he used or referenced. He did not use the term dynasty in the modern sense, but introduced new ones whenever he noticed some kind of discontinuity, whether it was geographical, where it was clear that there was a king ruling now from a different city, or genealogical, where it's clear that this king is from a different family and not the direct son of the previous king. Though this system does have its flaws, it's 2,300 years old. We've discovered new things about the dynasties and the connections between them since then. We still follow this method of grouping because it just makes the most sense. It's been in use the longest and everybody knows it. So going on into the Fourth Dynasty, there's quite a lot that we can say about this, so I've tried to be quick, but we'll see. This period was led by between 5 to 6 kings who ruled for around 119 collective years, from 2613 to 2494 BCE. It was a time when the Old Kingdom and its royal power really reached its peak. The relative peace of the Third Dynasty allowed the Fourth Dynasty rulers the leisure to explore more artistic and cultural pursuits like building pyramids. The existence of the pyramids shows that this must have been a period of strong central government, religious vitality, and technological innovation. But despite that, the details of this time come largely from these physical remains of buildings rather than from written texts or papyri. Egyptians had not yet started inscribing their extended biographies into their tombs. This is actually a practice that we start to see in the Sixth Dynasty, which happens 300 to 400 years later. None of the extensive records that might have existed detailing the pyramids from the time that they were built have survived into modern times, if they existed. I think they probably did. This is also a time that we see a shift in religious practices as the veneration of the sun god Ra grew from a local cult centered around a city known as Inu or Heliopolis into a more countrywide cult that soon came to be where the kings were seen as Ra's manifestations on earth. He became like kind of the king of the gods. The kings themselves were starting to be referred to as the sons of Ra, and we see this emergence in the mythology that Ra was the first king of Egypt, and the pharaohs and the kings were his descendants and successors. He was the god of the sun, order, kings, and the sky. He's actually one of the gods that we play in the game, and is very regularly our main patron god. In terms of how we know that this kind of religious change happened, the evidence for this comes from the tombs in the Fourth Dynasty, as they changed as well, not only for royalty but for elites. There are lots of different theories as to why we think the pyramids went from being stepped to straight-sided. It's been thought that it could be because the increasing importance of Ra led to an adoption of a tomb near in shape to the Benben stone, which is a sacred stone that was found in the Temple of Ra at Heliopolis/Anu or Inu. The Benben itself is a word for the mound that arose from the primordial waters, and it comes from the Egyptian creation myth. It was the location where the first rays of the sun fell. And it's thought that the Benben stone at Heliopolis was the prototype for later obelisks and the pyramid capstones, which are based on its design. We don't have pyramid capstones from the Fourth Dynasty, but you can see later ones in museums in Egypt. Other scholars think that the change in tomb styles is a result of a more direct relationship to mortuary reliefs, seeing the pyramids as the solidified rays of the sun. Others think that they were monuments that expressed and enforced the universal claims of royal power. The cemeteries of officials that surrounded these pyramids add yet another dimension to this discussion, because the superstructures, the mastabas of these private tombs had become considerably simpler in the Fourth Dynasty. Although they retained the rectangular shape and a north-south orientation, other features like niched facades became more rare. In the substructure in the tomb carved into the ground, storerooms that we saw before disappeared, and a suite of rooms that was at the end of a corridor in previous dynasties was replaced by a single room with no domestic features in it. The amount of grave goods, which we had seen increasing in quality and variety since the pre-dynastic, was suddenly reduced across these tombs, as indicated as well by the fact that there's no longer these storerooms available for keeping these goods in royal and private tombs. The Fourth Dynasty private tombs at Meidum show an increase in decoration and the inclusion of family members in that decoration. So we see couples who often shared tombs starting to appear together, while their children are shown flanking them in like a central niche of the tomb. In terms of where the tombs were located, this also changed. At the end of the Third and the Fourth Dynasty, we see a tradition develop where each new king built his tomb at a new site, often at a great distance from the tomb of his predecessor. And this pattern was broken in only a few reigns, and it was continued intermittently into the Fifth Dynasty. These repeated breaks with ancestral tradition can also be seen in these private cemeteries. In previous dynasties, high officials and royal family members were more conservative than their royal overlords, especially when it came to locating their tombs. First Dynasty officials built their tombs in irregular rows along the escarpment at Saqqara, and the Second and Third Dynasty elites built tombs behind them to the west, but still at Saqqara. In the Fourth Dynasty, they seem to have abandoned this tradition to build their tombs in cemeteries near wherever the royal tomb was. So at Meidum and Dashur, these private pyramid cemeteries were located some distance from the royal tomb, but still within the vicinity. The distance between the royal and private tombs decreased at Giza, so they were closer together. This suggests that the beginning of the Fourth Dynasty coincided with some kind of fundamental change or changes affecting the conception of the afterlife and the relationship between the king and his subordinates. The new and striking contrast in the architectural form of the tombs suggests that there was a change in beliefs about the nature of the afterlife and the needs of the dead. You know, suddenly it seemed like they didn't think that they really needed to bring all their earthly goods with them anymore, for example. Okay, that's kind of our overview of what we know of the Fourth Dynasty. So let's talk a little bit more about our king.
Awesome. So that's our second and longest vignette into, I don't really know what to call these. Dave, I'm glad that you're choosing to stay home with us today. I appreciate the support. Thank you for that. And yeah, if I had to choose between playing video games and going to the gym, I would choose video games. That's just me though. All right, so in the meantime, while we've been listening to my lovely voiceover, as you can see, I've kind of gotten my city started. So I've got two main settlements kind of set up here. I've got my main one, and then I've got my quarry, basically. I've got the temples all set up here because, well, if you don't put temples in, the gods get mad at you in this game. So I'm also going to just put in an apothecary. So we got to look after the health care of these people. In case you didn't know, Egyptians were quite renowned for their health and hygiene practices, as we kind of talked about, but like their dentistry and physicians, you know, were quite well regarded in their day. That doesn't mean that they still didn't do some really questionable stuff. You know, they still did employ like spells and some pretty interesting medical cures that if we looked at it today, I'm sure makes us all cringe. See, we've made Raw happy, so now we get more trade, but we actually don't have any trade yet. So we'll make sure that we have a trade route here. They sell plain stone, so that's good. They buy grain, but I mean, I don't really have any grain to sell them right now, so We'll stick with what we've got for now. Right. I can do, oh, irrigation ditches. I only just figured this out like the last few times I played the game. Like not now, but like in the past 2 years, I only just figured out that you can use the ditches to increase the yield of your farm. Yeah, if only I'd known that before. Let's make sure that we irrigate our farm. So this is something that also helps when you when your farm isn't doing so well because the Nile isn't flooding necessarily the way that it's supposed to. Okay, let's do just... Well, that was future Rachel looking out for past Rachel there because I... already set that up to do what I wanted it to do. There we go. All our farms are irrigated. We've got some straw. Our houses are starting to upgrade. Happy, happy days. I'm also just going to start this because that will later work to my advantage. So we've got to get some barley and some beer for trading. We're still just at a village palace, but that's fine. I'll keep that. Let's just have a quick look at our mission goals. So we need a population of 3,500. We're doing fine for everything else. All right, employment levels are going down, so that's good. I don't like to put up a lot of beautification until I've actually got a bit of a revenue stream coming in. So, and these guys have employees. Oh, who's gonna buy limestone? This is what I need to do, is I need to sell someone limestone. But it looks like yes, so these guys do. That's exportable. So I think, all right, so this is very interesting how they make this game and how they kind of sometimes like not manipulate, but they set it up so that you have to do things a certain way, because if I could, I would just set up a dock on this side of the Nile. But as we can see, the way that the map is made, there's literally no spots for it. So it is always going to have to go across the way and get taken to my dock over here. So I'm going to export this. I'm going to start exporting it because I just need to make some money off the bat, and I don't need the limestone right now. And this is just like my facing block for the outside of my pyramid. So we'll make sure that we have at least like 30 blocks. We've got 46. I think that's pretty good. And we'll only have more, so that's fine. And we'll put a bazaar in here as well for when that gets going. Hopefully we're gonna have lots and lots of grain for everybody now. I want to know in the chat, how has got sound? Yeah, it's all right. Oh, 5 to Ben. King's a bit greedy. I could go to the gym or stay here on the couch. Anyway, sorry, that was very strange. Let me know how your Fridays are going, everyone. Does anybody have any special plans for the weekend? I can tell you, tomorrow is probably going to be a filming day for me. I've got a couple things that I need to kind of like sort out, because right now I'm trying to get things into a good spot for Christmas. So I'm seeing my family this Christmas, which is really exciting. I only ever see them like every other year, but that means that I don't want to be spending all my free time doing stuff on YouTube. So I just try to get my ducks in a row so that I just kind of not automate it, but I get it to a point where it's kind of like, okay, I can just, you know, press a button and everything's good, and I can just kind of go with the flow. That's partly why I was kind of trying this thing where I pre-record the stream, so to speak, so that I can kind of just have things be a little bit smoother, because I just found, not that I didn't enjoy it, but it was dividing my attention too much. It was just too much multitasking. You know, I like multitasking as much as the next person, I guess, but yeah, I just found it a bit more helpful to try and do a little bit more in advance. Grandniece's birthday party on Sunday. Oh, well, happy birthday to her. Are you getting her an archaeology themed gift? Does she like archaeology? This is my question. Is that what your grandniece is into, or not? As I have several gift suggestions depending on what she is interested in, especially if she likes to read. I actually used to work as a bookseller at a bookstore in Canada, and it was probably my favorite part-time job that I ever had, and one of my favorite jobs that I ever had. And I loved just like chatting to people and recommending books. My specialty is like fiction, science fiction, fantasy, historical fiction kind of stuff. For somebody who studies archaeology and loves ancient history, I actually don't read a lot of nonfiction. But yeah, 1-year-old, so not yet. It's never too late. Sorry, it's never too late. It's never too early. But yeah, my nephew's first birthday party was last weekend, and I did not get to go because I had COVID. And he's turning 1, and his my husband's grandmother was also going to be there, and his grandfather's currently in the hospital. And so I just really, even though, you know, I probably, according to, you know, guidelines and stuff like that, like I could have gone, I would have felt so guilty, and also just like not cool about if I had managed to pass it on to anybody else, I would have felt really bad. So I decided not to go. Right, we've got some beer, so let's start exporting that beer once we're over 400. And we can export the barley as well once we're over 8, because I think that's going to give us a good amount. How's my unemployment? 14%. That's fine. So that means I am going to... where do I want to do this? I think I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do... okay. So I need to have some potters. I need to import some clay. And accept pottery. Half and half. So this is the thing, is like you have to kind of level things up slowly, because, or at least when I do it, because if I try to speed play this game, it doesn't generally go very well for me. So we'll do 400 for now. I think we're exporting enough that we can manage that for sure. Oh my gosh, I have 11 viewers. I wonder if this is like the most amount of people that have ever been on the stream. It's entirely possible. But I've been trying to promote the stream like in external, so like on Instagram. I also did some Reddit posts today about it. So I'm hoping that if you came here from Reddit, let me know in the chat, because I'd like to know the spread of my promotional attempts, because you know, I feel so weird about doing all this like self-promotion stuff, because it makes me feel really awkward. Like I don't know, I'm just not one of those people that's like a built-in natural salesperson, or like one of those people that's really just like, you know, I doesn't have a problem like tooting your own horn or about your own achievements and stuff like that. I feel so self-conscious about it, like not ashamed, but I'm just like, oh, sorry, like I don't want to bug you, like etc etc. But at the same time, you know, there are people that are probably interested in this stuff that don't know about me yet, and the more I promote it, the better, the more it gets out there, and then hopefully the better it does. And then, you know, we can just go onwards and upwards with the channel, which would be like my ultimate goal. You know, I would really love to be able to do this on a bigger scale, you know, have more than just me behind it. I was watching a podcast the other day, and they were talking about how the guests that they had on it, like as soon as her channel was big enough, she hired someone to edit videos for her. And I don't know if I would 100% do that, but yeah, that would make my life so easy. It's just one less thing that I have to learn how to do, especially in like YouTube, where it's so competitive. You know, you have to have such like a wide range of skills to really be able to excel on YouTube. And I don't have all those skills. But anyways, back to the game. Games are settlements slowly improving. Do we have another? No. I've only kind of got the. I think I need to put in some more farms. And I put it here. Do this, and we do this. And then I can do like so. And I can have all of the farms, and I can have all the grain, and I can satisfy Pharaoh's request. Frankenstein, if you rant lots of educational archaeology lines, if you feed our nerdy, I find it self-promoting, but that's just me. I don't really understand what you're saying there. So if I talk about archaeology, it is self-promotion? I don't know. Or if it's justified. Dovlavi! Oh, I'm so happy to see you here. Hello. Dovlavi is like one of my original like OG subscribers, comments on so many of my videos, likes everything, really supports the channel, and I very much appreciate you being here. Joaquim is usually like the first person on the stream. Yeah, Joaquim, I don't know, maybe he's busy. He's usually like the first person on the stream, and he's got all these questions for me about everything, and I'm always like, oh crap. Maybe he's busy. Can't always. Oh, I think actually he said on the last stream that he's not going to be here this week, but that's fine. You're welcome, Dovlavi. I want you to know that I appreciate you. You know, I appreciate all of you. I appreciate every single person who's here on the stream who is contributing to helping me make the channel bigger. You know, everything that you can, any small thing, attending the stream or doing a like on a video, doing a comment, whatever, those are always appreciated by me. You know. Okay, good. Not all my grain is going to the storerooms. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but there's this like weird thing where they don't want to get the grain, the bazaar sellers don't want to get grain if it's in a storeroom. I don't know if that's like a game mechanic or something like that, but it drives me crazy. Trying to make sure that that I have enough food for my populace, but then I can also sell it for profit when I have extra. Oh. That's what I'm saying, that the past is fascinatingly self-promoting, mind-blowing. Oh, well, I'm glad that you enjoy what I'm doing here, Frankenstein. Yeah, past is self-promoting because we did amazing stuff. We used to do amazing things, and people give too much credit to aliens and not enough credit to ourselves. That's something I really need to, I mean, I'm very aware that if I leaned more into ancient alien debunking stuff, I would have probably way more people paying attention to my channel. You know, they're like, that's a pretty common theme on a lot of like the bigger heritage channels out there is that they do a lot more of that kind of content. But I don't know. I don't enjoy arguing with people in my comments when they disagree with me, when they're wrong about those things. And like, I don't know, I have better things to do with my time than to watch tons of ancient alien stuff or read those books. Like, I struggle to read things that I'm not interested in, and I'm not interested in ancient aliens, and I don't like to just be mad all the time, which is what those programs tend to make me. They tend to make me angry. So, anyway, yeah. Okay, so as we can see here, the pyramid is progressing, the bent pyramid. They're filling in the grooves in the bedrock with water, and, oh, we could use some more work camps, actually. Let's have a look. So, I think I have enough Deben to send Pharaoh the money that he wants, I guess. And I'm going to start the work to do my second housing block because I want to use it for my palace that I'm going to have. So that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I'm going to just have a slightly wider one here. And roadblock 1, 2. So we'll start out here. And 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna have a nice big palace over here. The other end will probably have my temple complex in it, which is fine. But we'll make sure that we honor the other gods as well, because if I don't, they get mad at me, and then they either get rid of my storerooms, or they, yeah, they just, if they don't like you, you know. They make it known. Also, I don't know if you guys, if you've not been on the other streams, you may not know, you can actually turn on in the options up here if the gods can help you with your pyramids. So pyramid speed up is on because if you please the gods enough in this game, they will help your pyramid go faster, which is what ultimately everyone wants. That's the goal. Basically, yeah, I would love to try and beat this level by the time that we get to the premiere of my new video at the end of this, but we'll see if that happens. Alright, oh, also, because I have a palace, now I can collect taxes, everyone's favorite. Everyone loves paying tax, right? Don't you guys love paying tax? Oh, okay. Well, I have more than enough to do that. Oh, I need to start importing, plain stone, actually. Oh, I can allow them to fill up 3/4 of the yard here. Note. Any currency ever been found from the Fourth Dynasty? No. So, there was a previous stream on this. I have done enough of them that I can't remember which one it is. The game uses, for currency, something called Deben, which was to give you a brief refresher, essentially, until very late in their civilization, so like the late period slash the Ptolemaic period, the Egyptians operated on a barter economy, and it was the Greeks that led to them having to introduce a currency, because essentially they had Greek mercenaries who were like, yo, I don't want to get paid in goods, I want money. And so the first pharaoh, the first pharaoh that introduced a currency was like quite late in the game. Currency is something that started in Greece, or the Greek city-states, and or Turkey, and like around that area, and then it kind of like came its way down. Oh great, people are taking less wages, but really not by much. It's so nice how the economy just works so nicely in this game. It's just so different than real life. I really don't have... The only thing that I have for food here is grain. I really wish I could have like fish or something else, because that also limits me later in how I can expand the houses. But anyways, back to currency. So Egyptians had a barter economy, especially during this period. Not a currency economy, but even though they had bartering was their system, they did have like a standardization system for determining the value of goods. So Deben is one of those ways that they determine values of goods. I'll have to double check what I don't remember off the top of my head what it was used for. So Deben is usually made out of metal, so copper and gold, and then there were other things as well, though, because they had like especially like pyramid workers were usually paid, like they were paid in goods. You had things like standardized bread tins, and also like beer jugs, so that you knew exactly, every worker was getting the same amount of pay for their work. And yeah, that's how they did it. People got paid in different things. So like pyramid workers, like these guys over here, they would have been paid largely in grain, beer, but also during the time at which they were working on the pyramid, they were also given housing. They probably were given some kind of meat, and obviously some workers were paid more than others. So you have just general laborers. I would say they were probably largely paid in grain, beer, and bread. And then say if you were like a scribe or an overseer or higher up, you would maybe receive some more goods. So fish, meats, that kind of things, more luxury items, or more diverse foods. I think I read somewhere that the working on the pyramids was actually like a really lucrative job. We look at it and we're like, oh, why would I toil forever to go build this guy's giant Mojo Dojo Casa house when there's like no benefit to me? Actually, these jobs were incredibly well paid. They had long-term job security, because they're like the project probably lasted the majority of the lifetime of an average ancient Egyptian. They were paid well, they were guaranteed work. So yeah, people would have wanted to go work on this job. I mean, I'm sure their safety record was probably abysmal, but other than that, it was pretty desirable. Okay, so I can export pottery, and I now have enough of it that it kind of makes sense to do that. So let's start exporting some pottery. I'll do it when I'm over 600. I don't want to be too chancy. All right, I'm also going to put in a festival square. So anybody that doesn't know this already, Egyptians loved a festival. They had many different kinds of festivals throughout the whole year. one of the famous ones that I kind of like know is the Hebsed festival, which is like the a jubilee for a king, but he had to essentially, I think, like basically like run laps to like prove his virility and stuff like that. And I think it's tied to like how long he'd been reigning. He had to run so many laps, so it got like harder the older you got. I can't imagine. Yeah, that would be kind of interesting. I wish we could kind of see something like that in modern day. If I drank beer while building the pyramids, they would have been flimsy and crooked. Yeah, I'm sure that would be the case for many people, but also when we think of their beer, it's not like our beer. It probably would have actually had probably a much higher alcohol content, but it also would have had a just like a higher calorie content. It's yeah, not beer the way that we think of it. It's a lot more nutritional, I think. Include the bread is like that as well. Great medical, yeah. Do I have a Lima Zulu Tango asked, do you have a favorite pyramid? No, I haven't, to be honest, it's not a question everyone's ever asked me or that I've ever thought about. Do I have a favorite? You know, I quite like the bent pyramid because it's like, I do, which we're building now, reading about pyramids, like, you know, Giza, the Great Pyramid, it's overrated. It's just, it's big. Whoop-de-doo. But the bent pyramid, as you'll find out a bit later when I put on the segment for this level, is has the largest amount of the limestone casing still remaining, and it's bent for a reason, and I think that reason's pretty interesting. If you were to ask me if I had a favorite ancient Egyptian monument, it would probably be either the temple at Karnak or Hatshepsut's Valley Temple, because Hatshepsut's like my favorite pharaoh, king, ruler of Egypt. And it is a really interesting architectural innovation. I've been to Karnak, and Karnak is just like so cool. I did projects on it as well in school when I was a child. So, you know what? I wonder, can I export bricks? Let's get rid of some of this straw. I know I can't do anything with them. That's why. Why give me bricks as a thing that I can make, mud brick, as a thing that I can make in the game, but I can't sell it and I don't need it for my building project? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't have any mastabas to build. Okay. Interesting game mechanics going on here. Certainly warm beer. Yes. Yeah, it was probably quite closest to Guinness, let's be honest. It was closer to Guinness than it is to like your India Pale Ale or whatever. I don't know anything about beer. I don't really drink it, but yes. Employment, unemployment. So this means I get to do more work camps, and let's put in some. Now that we're getting to a point where we're gonna need stones. So we'll do a Carpenter's Guild and Stonemasons Guild, and I have to accept wood somewhere because I gotta get, oh yeah, this is where we're gonna figure out where. I didn't look far enough north. Can I even import wood yet? Yeah, I can. Okay. 100. Why? Why am I only importing 100, Rachel? It is expensive. What is horrifically expensive in this game? Just got to take a little bit of water. Tank the graphics to make sure the game released on time. Who's CA? I don't know who that is. I know Impressions and oh, see here. Okay, so I was talking before about the gods helping us out. So Osiris is happy, so he's gonna help my building project. Woohoo! He just did it. It's a bit maybe anticlimactic, but Yes, so we can see here just in the middle, like the subterranean chamber that goes into the ground, into the bedrock. Um, really tank the graphics. Okay, people have the bent and the red. Yeah, the red pyramid is really interesting. Like, and Dashur and Snefru very much get overlooked because of the achievements of the later, which is actually an excellent segue into our next segment that I'm going to play for you now. That is a all about Snofru, as the narrator called him at the beginning of the mission briefing. So I'm going to play that for you now, and I'll mute my mic, and then at the end of that, we'll come back. Feel free to continue putting stuff into the chat, and I will answer them when we get back to the rest of the stream. Okay?
So let's talk a little bit more about our king for this level, Sneferu, or Sneferu. It's probably several different ways that I can say that. He is the first pharaoh of the Fourth Dynasty. As we mentioned last stream, there's still some debate as to who his father was, with the credit often being given to Huni, but we don't have any archaeological evidence that confirms this. Estimates on the length of his reign vary, as is pretty typical for this time. It could be anywhere from 27 years, which people usually think is like the minimum, to 48 years. Queen Hetepheres I was one of Sneferu's wives and the mother of his eventual successor, King Khufu. Altogether, Sneferu has 9 sons and 5 daughters who have made it into the historical record. So we have records of them. We knew that they existed. In terms of his achievements, he's most well known for building 3 pyramids that survive to this day, although his achievements are overshadowed by those of his successors at Giza. However, I really don't want to overlook his importance, because these monuments and their creation during his reign introduced major innovations in the design and the construction of pyramids in general that allow these later monuments to be built. His cartouche/birth name, Sneferu, means he has perfected me. His Horus name was Neb Ma'at, which means the Lord of Maat. Although he didn't build any pyramids at Giza, through constructing 3 pyramids, he actually managed to move the most stone and brick out of any individual pharaoh during this time. To enable such massive building projects, he would have had to secure an extensive store of labor and materials. And to do so, we know that he conducted military campaigns into Libya and Nubia, to essentially the south and the west of Egypt. These campaigns are alluded to on the later Palermo stone from the 5th Dynasty, which reads, Reign of Sneferu, year unknown. The building of the Tua'tua'a ships of mare wood of 100 capacity and 60 royal boats of 16 capacity. Raid in the land of the blacks, and the bringing in of 7,000 prisoners, men and women, and 20,000 cattle, sheep, and goats. End quote. Similarly, in ancient Libya, we have records that his armies captured around 11,000 prisoners and 13,000 head of cattle. Such military incursions must have been incredibly devastating for the populations of these countries, and aside from the extensive import of cedar, probably from Lebanon, there is also evidence of activity in the turquoise mines on the Sinai Peninsula during his reign, as well as large-scale quarrying projects to provide the stone he needed for his monuments. The first of Sneferu's pyramids is the collapsed one at Meidum, which is a level that we haven't played yet on the game. That was the choice the last time we streamed. It was Serabit Kedem or Meidum, and we played Serabit, so we haven't played that level. The immense stone structure from this site serves as a physical testimony to the transition from the step pyramid structure to that of a true straight-sided pyramid. It was first conceived as a 7-stepped structure, similar to that of Djoser's at Saqqara, but later modifications to it added another platform, and then modifications even later again added limestone facing to create the smooth angled finish of a quote-unquote true pyramid. However, because this is basically the first time they were doing this, there were construction mistakes, and the fact that they redesigned it partway through led to an unstable structure which eventually collapsed. Although we don't know if this collapse happened during its construction or many years later after Sneferu's reign. We certainly don't seem to know why exactly he felt the need to build 3 pyramids. Yeah, nothing I came across suggested why, although maybe it was more a question of like, he could, so he did. Sneferu's second bent pyramid at Dashur, which is one of the choice levels today, attests to an even greater increase in architectural innovations. Lastly, the red pyramid, which is also called the North Pyramid, is the last one and also the largest. That was built by Sneferu, and it's also located at Dahshur. It's actually a pyramid that we can build, I think, in a later level, potentially. Named for the rusty reddish hue of its red limestone material, it is the 3rd largest Egyptian pyramid, after those of Khufu and Khafra at Giza. It's believed to be Egypt's first successful attempt at constructing a true smooth-sided pyramid. Despite his plethora of choice for where to have his eternal rest, we have not recovered Sneferu's remains from any of his pyramids, although I did come across some interesting theories that are completely unproven that it's hiding somewhere in a secret chamber in the Red Pyramid. Considering all of the interesting stuff that they're doing at Giza right now with the muon tomography, I'd be very interested to see if they're going to try and use that again at maybe some of the other pyramids to see if they can find any other similar kind of undetected chambers that we've not found so far through our regular means. So I just want to have a quick note about somewhere else that's mentioned in our mission briefings, somewhere called Enkomi in Cyprus as a trade post. This is a real site, a real place, which was settled on Cyprus in the Middle Bronze Age. And it's known that from around the 16th century BCE to the 12th century BCE, that it was an important trading center for copper, which was like smelted on the site and traded onwards. So this is a very, I guess, like accurate mention of a trade partner, kind of roughly contemporary to this time, although it is a little bit earlier than the actual level is for when it's known for its copper trade. But that doesn't mean necessarily that it wasn't happening. Okay, so the level that... Woohoo! Okay, so we have chosen...
All right, so that was our second segment, a little bit on Sneferu and Enkomi. What did you guys think of that one? I think we alluded a little bit earlier in the chat to the fact that Snofruderivative gets overlooked because of the achievements of his successor, Khufu, and then Khufu's descendants as well, which I've always thought to be quite interesting. Let's put in some statues, because now I'm rolling in dough. So I'm going to put some cat statues everywhere, because I love cats. I have a cat. While you guys were listening to that interlude, my cat was screaming at me for attention. Now she's above my head, chilling out, just hanging out. Joseph, yeah, so I've seen, I'd seen adverts for Total War Pharaoh. I've never played Total War before. It's not something that's necessarily in my game playing wheelhouse, because the warfare part of these kinds of games is my least favorite. So you can see the carpenter coming and making us some ramps here. But yeah, I find the warfare parts of these games just they just don't catch my interest in the same way. So I've not watched it, but yeah, the graphics on it don't look great. There is also, you may or may not be aware, there is like a remake of this game called Pharaoh: A New Era that you can buy on Steam. So someone's like remastered the graphics and I think have made some attempts to fix it. I've not personally played it because, I mean, I love the original. I own the original. The original is like very cheap to buy. So I just don't really have an incentive because I just like this one so much. Oh, I've got... Oh, did you see that? I have a huge amount of unemployment. Okay, I need some construction guilds. These guys are going to help me build my pyramid even faster than I already am. Ooh, that's a lot of money that Pharaoh's asking for. Jesus. I need some... What else can I make and sell here? I can import... Okay, so I can import flax and then export linen. That's pretty good. And I can do... Okay, so which one... So papyrus sells for 165 and linen sells for 160. So I'm going to do papyrus. So let's put in a papyrus thing. And we will use this guy. Actually, I should put in another storage yard. I'm going to put it here. And this guy is going to be my reeds and papyrus storage yard. Let's import some of this stuff. I'll do 300. Let me get off to a good start, and then hopefully I'll be able to pay Pharaoh the money that he wants. And I only have... Here's the... This is the crux of this game that makes it kind of difficult, is that I only have my... For to end the city and win it, I have to have 3,500 population, and right now I have 2,100, and I have 18% unemployment, which is high. Eventually people will start leaving, and this is going to cause me a really big problem. So like I need to do some employment sucking measures, I guess. So there's certain things that you can try and do to take up unemployment. Oh, I'm making the gods so happy. They're boosting my projects like crazy. And the easiest way to bolster or tackle unemployment is work camps. So they take up 20 employees, and basically that's the most amount, I think, of pretty much any service that takes up employees that you can get besides a temple complex. 8, 6, 20, 12 here. These ones aren't too bad, but yeah. Yeah, I know. I need more money. I don't have enough money for the king, guys. He's not going to be happy about this, but my kingdom rating is through the roof, so if I can't send him 4,000 bucks, he can just deal with it. Would I care? So let's just have a look at the chat. I was at a lecture by Kara Cooney a couple days ago. Oh, you're so lucky. I would love to go to a lecture by Kara Cooney. She is so cool. Remainder of the pyramid, 3 loads. Oh, I basically don't need to buy any more plain stone. Perfect. Jeez. Where's all my barley? I think it's just because I keep on having bad harvests or bad floods. So I'm just not really getting much return value for my farms at the moment. Oh, apparently I can't even do that. Well, la-di-da. Some of these are doing better than others. I wonder if I could put a farm here. Yes, I could. If I did this. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. Haha. This is another trick to the game, is that if you put in a new farm, even after a bad year, it doesn't get all dried out and stuff. Ha ha ha. I win. Okay, am I not... Oh, it's because I don't have enough limestone to export. That's why. That's fine. Mitch is asking, would I care to estimate population of Egypt during the Fourth Dynasty? I don't want to estimate, so I'm going to Google because I don't really know anything about population mechanics. What does the internet say? Consensus seems to be about 1.6 million. 1.5 to 1.6 million. So quite a lot. Certainly enough to be able to build these pyramids. One thing I didn't include in the segment on Snofruderivative that I kind of wanted to include, but I was of two minds about it, was talking about his wife Hetepheres, or Hetepheres, or Hetepherah. Don't know what her name would have been, how it would have been pronounced, say. She's really interesting because I found a few things that were saying that Snofru was the reason for the difference in dynasties or whatever is because he wasn't the son of the previous king, and so he was basically like a noble who married into the royal family. This is a theme that we've talked about before, and then managed to became king, because the Egyptians, for them, the bloodline of royalty ran through their women. So they had this really convenient thing where if the king didn't have a son to succeed him, all you really had to do was marry one of his daughters that he hopefully had, and then it helps to legitimize you and pass that kind of tradition on in the eyes of the ancient Egyptians. So there was some stuff that I was reading that said that Snofru was from like a family in Mennefer or something like that. I have no idea where it wasn't sourced. It was just like a random thing that I read on the internet, so I cannot verify whether or not that's actually true. And yeah. But Hetepheres we're pretty confident, is the daughter of a previous king, the previous king, who is probably Hetepheres Huni the first. Let's see. And we think this because one of her titles is God's daughter of his body. So this refers to her being the daughter of a god, which is a title that we see associated with princesses of the royal line. So yeah, she was either Snofru's not related to him at all, or probably his half or full sister. It's also kind of unclear. She was definitely the mother of Khufu. I don't know, and probably of Khufu's wife as well, or one of his wives potentially. But she has what she's kind of known for is her tomb as well. So she has, I think there's a pyramid that we think belongs to her. I think it's near the Red Pyramid. It's a satellite pyramid, or it was intended for her, but her body wasn't found there. It was actually found in a tomb near Giza, her son, which is the burial place of her son. So, and then they found within that some really beautiful, like furniture and burial goods. So, you can see it in Cairo, and it's recreated in the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. But for the Old Kingdom, it's got some really beautiful artifacts that you can see that are from the royals, including potentially one of like the first chests with the organs in it. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Canopic box. That's what it is. So yeah, they've gotten to the point now with mummification where they're starting to remove organs from the body and store them separately in these canopic jars and boxes. Manetho, at least it has been confirmed that Tutankhamun wasn't the son of Akhenaten. Um, I'd be interested to know where you read that because, I mean, I don't keep up on the Tutankhamun, Akhenaten, and the DNA studies. I don't have that in my regular news cycle. But I think the DNA studies are interesting. Oh, look, our pyramid is about to be revealed. So, yeah, I'm going to turn on the segment. I'm going to actually just pause this 1 second. And I'm going to turn on the segment for Dashur as we talk about, which talks about largely the bent pyramid. And then we'll watch the stonemasons in the game uncover it while we listen about it. So, just a sec.
Dashur for our level today, and not gonna lie, I'm kind of grateful for this one because we've been doing a lot of the military mission, guys, and I mean, I miss the building missions. I do kind of enjoy those. As we all know, I'm not very good at the military part of the game, so it's always nice to have a bit of a break from that. So Dashur, it's an ancient Egyptian pyramid complex and necropolis located on the western desert plateau at the edge of the cultivated plain, and along with the complexes at Saqqara, Abu Sir, and Giza, it forms what's known as the pyramid fields of the ancient capital city of Memphis, or as we know it in the game, and as its historical name is, Men-Nefer. The Dahshur pyramids were an extremely important learning experience for the Egyptians, as I kind of mentioned previously. It provided them with the knowledge and the know-how to transition from step-sided to smooth-sided pyramids. And of the 11 original pyramids that were built here, 5 of them remain. In addition to those from Sneferu, you can also find the white and black pyramids of King Amenemhat III and King Senusret III, who are both from the 12th dynasty of the Middle Kingdom. They're different pyramids than the ones from the Old Kingdom, I will say. They're like a different style and a different construction, but we'll cover that later. As I said, Dashur hosts 2 of Sneferu's 3 pyramids, and this level covers the construction of the bent pyramid. It's called this because the angle of the inclination of the slope, like the sides of it, changes from 55 degrees to around 43 degrees in the upper levels. And the mission briefing itself is a bit tricksy here because it implies that this was on purpose, but that's actually quite unlikely. It's more likely and more plausible that it was modified during construction, either due to the fact that the Meidum pyramid collapsed, or that the people building it noticed that the steepness of this original 55-degree angle was not great, and perhaps the structure itself began to show signs of instability while they were building it, which forced them to then, adopt a shallower angle to try and avert a second collapse. It's unique among the approximately 90 pyramids that we find in Egypt in that its original polished limestone outer casing remains largely intact. So this could be because there were larger spaces between the casing stones than later pyramids. So like the space between the stones was bigger, which then when you have something called thermal expansion happening, it means that the stones don't push together as much, so they don't kind of destroy themselves. Another possible reason is that the original steeper slope at the bottom made it just too difficult and dangerous to rob those stones out from later generations, and so it got left alone. The structure itself underwent 3 construction phases, and in the first one, a steep pyramid with a base of 157 meters and an angle of approximately 58 degrees, possibly even 60 degrees, was planned. In the second phase, the builders reduced the angle to around 54 to 55 degrees, and then in the third phase, this was reduced again to 43 degrees, and this is the most obvious. There are 2 entrances to this pyramid. One is fairly low down on the north side, and the other is high on the west face. Each one leads to a different chamber with a high corbelled roof, and the north entrance leads to a chamber that's below ground level, the western to a chamber that's built within the body of the pyramid itself. A hole in the roof of the northern chamber leads via a rough connecting passage to the passage from the west entrance. and the western passage is blocked by 2 stone blocks which were slid down 45-degree ramps to block it. A causeway leads from the bent pyramid's northeast toward the pyramid with a valley temple. This causeway was paved with limestone blocks and had a low limestone wall on each side. On the east side of the pyramid, there are fragmentary remains of the pyramid temple. The ancient name for the bent pyramid is generally translated as the South Shining Pyramid, or Snefru is shining in the south. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I mentioned in my Lego pyramid building video, which you can find on my channel, which was actually one of my favorite videos that I've ever done, that each pyramid has its own name. You know, the Egyptians didn't call the Great Pyramid of Giza the Great Pyramid of Giza. They called it Khufu's Horizon. It had its own name as a monument, and so this is the same here. So yeah, the bent pyramid had its own name. It is actually also open for tourists to explore the inside. So if you went to Dashur on a tour or whatever, you would be able to pay what I think is probably a very reasonable entry fee, from what I know, and go inside of it. I also read that there is a satellite or a secondary pyramid beside it that we think might have been built for Sneferu's wife Hetepheres, but I've seen that it is also open for people to go in and look at it, but I couldn't really find a lot of information on that, so I'm not sure if it still is open or if it was only open at one point and now it's not open anymore. So that's kind of everything about Dashur and its claim to fame for today. I hope that you've enjoyed this. Okay, so we're gonna start our educational segments today.
Okay, that's the end of our segments for today. Hope that you guys have enjoyed them. In the meantime, I'm trying to figure out where I want to put a granary for some extra grain. And we've completed the pyramid. The bent pyramid is done. Oh my god, look at it. It's so beautiful. Yay! Yeah, I like the fact that it's not perfect. I also just really like the fact, like I said before, that it shows this connection of and this progression of pyramid building techniques. I think this is something that a lot of people don't think about or realize. I think people look at the Great Pyramids of Giza, they don't realize that there were I think I was saying in the video 90 pyramids in Egypt that you can look at, and that these 3 are just kind of the most famous. Actually. And so then they look at it and they're like, oh well, you know, how could people build that kind of thing? I don't see how they got from A to B. Oh, they were just not advanced enough for this. And that's really that's not the case. You know, these pyramids really show that it was a case of trial and error. They had to figure out the math and the angles and stuff like that first. And that's what they did during Snofru's reign. What that then allowed Khufu to go ahead during his reign and build the largest one of them all, because he was able to learn from his father's essentially mistakes, which I think is quite cool. So a couple questions in the chat that I will answer now. As an archaeologist, what are your thoughts on people purchasing artifacts, at least as long as they have an established provenance from a reputable dealer? I don't know. It's an interesting question, because I actually do own an artifact. I do have, I guess what you would consider, what you would consider an artifact that I own that my dad purchased for me. It's a coin that he had made into a necklace. And it was all above board. It wasn't on the black market or anything. I think I don't necessarily have a problem with people owning artifacts as long as the due process is followed. So by this I mean, for example, in the UK, the way the system works is if you are an archaeological dig, or if you're a metal detectorist or anything, and you find something while you're looking in the ground, first, you will have to report that. So it differs on where you are in the UK. If you're in England, it's different. If you're in Scotland, which is where I live, you have to report it to something called Treasure Trove. And then if Treasure Trove decides that this find is valuable enough that you can, that they want it, or that they need it, or that it's of national importance for like what they know about history or whatever, I'm fairly confident you get a like valuation of its value, or a percentage of it. I think it partly goes to the landowner, whoever owns the land that you found it on, and part of the payment goes to you. But essentially they get first crack at it. So if they decide, yes, I would like to have this in our national collection, I think this is important for learning about the past or communicating about the past, that should 100% be the first option. That being said, museums have a really big storage problem. I covered this a little bit in my British Museum video, where we talked about the thefts that happened there this year, facilitated presumably by an employee, where like what you see on display at a museum is like a minute fraction, usually, especially in the case of the British Museum, of what they own. And the vast majority of their artifacts sit in a storeroom, waiting for someone to want to use them for research. I say use, like look at them or study them for research. They're not on display for the public. Maybe they occasionally go out on like some kind of exhibition that's organized by a different museum, blah, blah, blah. But in general, they just sit in storerooms. So personally, that's not much different than sitting in your attic, or in your house. In the case of my particular pendant and necklace that I own, I think that probably by telling people about it when I wear it or whatever, it gets way more attention and serves a much greater purpose of teaching people than if it were sitting in a storeroom, or even sometimes, in some cases, in a display case at a museum, because it would just be like one coin amongst many. That being said, I do take care of it. I used to wear it a lot more often than I do now, but I kind of save it for like special occasions now. And I don't own anything that's it's a silver coin. It's not fragile. It tries to regularly knock out my teeth if I like bend over, because it's like so heavy and it whacks me like right in the face. It would be a different case if I owned something that's a lot more fragile. If I did, I wouldn't be wearing it, and it would be in some kind of display case, and probably would end up with oh no, I put my architect's post in the wrong spot. So yeah, I think it kind of depends. It's a case by case thing. And certainly I don't think the antiquities trade is not, and the value of owning antiquities and private collections is not new. And, I think it's very much a practicality thing. Like people are always going to be interested in owning antiquities, and they're going to pay to have them. I think as long as you're not losing any value for being able to teach people, I mean, what else are you going to do? They're either going to end up in a museum storeroom, a private collection, or on a spoil heap somewhere in the middle of nowhere once they've been uncovered, generally. The museum is obviously the premier thing, but a private collection where it's taken care of and recorded and has the potential to come back into the public eye. I feel like there really should be, one of the things that's really difficult with museums and even trying to recover illegally traded stuff is we obviously don't know what's in people's private collections for various reasons. But personally, maybe there should be some kind of database of the different artifacts that are in some of these collections, so that if researchers need to look at them, they can. I'm sure things like that exist, but there's certainly no like centralized system for that. In terms of the Tutankhamun stuff, I was reading about it while you were watching the thing and we were finishing the pyramid. And it seems like they do think that that they established that Tutankhamun's parents were probably siblings, potentially cousins, especially if there had been a history of intermarriage between siblings within that family. Like basically his parents had a very close genetic relationship, but I didn't see anything that necessarily said that it wasn't Akhenaten who was his father. I think that generally people think that Akhenaten is most likely was Tutankhamun's father. The more of the question surrounds who is his mother. So some people think it's probably Nefertiti, and then other people think that it was a different woman from Akhenaten's harem, I guess is the correct word for that. But ultimately, we do not know. Why is this guy... I don't know why my beer industry has just like completely halted. All right, let's accept some barley here and see if that does anything. It's because I'm stockpiling it. I didn't turn it off from the last time. All right, now I should get some beer and re-upgrade all my housing. I have a bracelet with Khufu's horizon and hieroglyphs on it. That is a really cool bracelet. Did you buy it when you were in Egypt? I'd be very interested to know. I'm an artifact at this age. I have seen those jokes before. I also sometimes feel like an artifact. Certainly there is a reason I don't dig anymore, and one of those reasons is my joints struggle with it now that I'm past 30. There's definitely, for many people, a limit into how long they do extended periods of field work. Like, less so if you're an academic, but certainly you don't see a lot of people doing field work past a certain age just because, you know, everything hurts. All right, let's beautify my city now that I'm not building a pyramid anymore. We have roughly 20 minutes to upgrade my population and beat this level. So let's see if we can do it. I'll have to put in another brewery as well for good measure. You made it yourself. Oh, that's cool. What's it made out of? That's a really cool bracelet. Do you have like a business that you do that for, or is that like something that you do just for fun? I will say, as a sneak peek sort of into my plans for future, guys, what am I due to do? So things that are coming up on the channel. Archaeology news will be out at the beginning of December. I also have a so a couple years, I don't know if I did it last year, but I have done a few times like an archaeology gifts Christmas list. So I kind of like look for different archaeology related things across the internet because I know that is something that I have always been interested in. And like sometimes family members, if you like archaeology, they don't know what to get you. They don't know what the right books are, or it can be really hard to find stuff because we're quite a niche interest. So unless you like are an archaeologist, it can be kind of hard to know where to find stuff to buy them for a gift or for whatever for Christmas. So so yeah, I've started doing my research for that. So one of the things for this year is I got this candle. It's like The scent is called Archaeologist's Desk, which I think is hilarious. It's a like I think it's an archaeology student or someone who studied archaeology who lives in Scotland where I live, which is kind of nice. And she has like a whole shop full of like heritage related scents. So she also has, I think, like historians study, Egyptologist's desk. She's got little like wax melts in the like that are styled to be like a particular disc. I can't remember exactly what kind of artifact it is, but it's like an artifact. And a lot of her other scents relate around more like UK historical sites. So she's got a bunch of different candles named after famous UK archaeological sites, which I think is pretty cool. So she's going to be on the list. She hasn't paid me to say that or anything, by the way. Like I haven't done sponsors. If Lego wants to send me their like archaeology thing this year, which is their archaeology set this year, which I think is meant to be the Hygeine castle from Japan. Be more than happy to include that on the list. It's probably going to be on there anyway, but if they want to send it to me to build and recommend in the video, that would be very much appreciated because it's like £100 or something like that, so it's not cheap. But a leather worker, that's pretty cool. I have a background in blacksmithing and woodworking. You're much better at that stuff than I am then. Have you made any other cool things that are archaeology related? I'd like to know. In terms of what the candle smells like, the official scent notes are distressed leather, wild patchouli, and vanilla. It smells really nice, actually. It's too bad that we don't have like smell-o-vision, so I can't communicate it to you. I don't know what the Egyptian one it smells like, but once this one is done, that's probably what I'm going to buy. They're not cheap candles. They are like £24, so you can, I think, get a discount if you sign up for her mailing list. But yeah, they're not the cheapest candle you can buy, but apparently candles nowadays, to get like a really cool smelling candles, they're expensive. Not that I don't think that they should be. It's just I didn't realize that there was such a market for upmarket candles. SHV's beautiful city build. Thank you. I hope that you are not joking, because I really don't build for aesthetics in this game. There are people who manage to do it much more neatly than I do. But yeah. Okay, we got 2,400. Employment's up to 16. So, what are these guys? These are 12. Alright. What am I gonna do? I need to take up some employees somehow. Alright, I'm going to put a firehouse here. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm just gonna do all the work camps. Work, 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 like Rihanna says. And just watch that. 7%. Love it. I've also got the scribe, so let's do a scribal school here. Gotta get some water. Too much talking. What are you guys drinking tonight if you're joining me on the stream? You having tea, coffee, water? You being good? Last week I was really naughty and I had a cider. Duet backpack. I have literally never heard of that. I'm gonna Google it. Oh, and an Ankh backpack. Ooh, cool. I wish you could put pictures in the chat. But do you have it like Lima Zulu? Let me know if you have an online shop or something, and I'll check it out. No promises, but if you have stuff, I'd be interested to look at it. Candles are really expensive. I like candles, but I found that using a wax warmer and wax for the warmers is a bit better value. Yeah, I like wax melts as well. I don't use candles nearly as much as I would like. Partially as well now because I have a cat and I'm just paranoid. Rightfully so. But I do like wax melts. I have to, no, I can't get you a picture, but this candle thing that I'm talking about, the name of the shop is Ashwood Candles. Like I said, it'll be in my video. You'll be able to find it there, but if you want to Google her and look her up now, she does include shipping in the UK, but I don't know where you guys are, so it may or may not be something that's achievable for you. But in that way, the wax melts are probably a bit better of a choice because they're obviously a lot less heavy than a gigantic candle. Coffee. I wasn't joking. You should see my builds. They're really bad looking. No, you should see some of my previous builds because they're horrible. I don't play this game for aesthetically very well. Let's have a statue of Towerette. I can't say her name right. The hippo goddess of childbirth who is in the Moon Knight show, which I enjoyed so much. Have you guys watched Moon Knight? I thought it was great. I really am excited to see what they're going to do with it in the second season. I enjoyed the music as well. The music in it was so good. Coffee. Is it morning where everybody else is? It's 6 p.m. It's almost 7 p.m. for me now. Where are we all coming from? Black tea from Turkey's Black Sea coast. Very cool. Still in design phase, build you for personal use. 100% handmade backpacks go for £1,000. Okay. Well done for you. You probably make a lot more money than an archaeologist. All right. I've got a few minutes left. Okay, let's just go, excuse my French, let's just go balls to the wall and build a nice big settlement so that I can hopefully get close to beating this level by the time that we finish the stream and go into the premiere for my latest video. I am interviewing an Indian archaeologist. Her name's Dashur. I found her on Instagram. She is super nice. We had a really great, interesting conversation, especially about Indian archaeology and the reason why I was kind of looking to feature an Indian archaeologist on the show is because I get so many people commenting on my channel from India asking about it, or asking about archaeology in India, or like wanting to come to the UK and study, which is unfortunately not really an option because of the way that the current immigration system works in the UK. They don't like foreigners, which, you know, as a foreigner, I patently disagree with that policy, but I don't make the policies, so that sucks. All right, 2834. Let's see what the rest of our thing. Prosperity, good. Monument, oh. Monuments, done. Kingdom 100. We're gonna pass this. Oh, guys, I'm gonna beat this level, hopefully, in the next 5 minutes. Previously mentioned in another stream, your husband has a degree in machine learning. Has he ever worked on anything archaeology related, like identifying sites by imagery and AI? No. He comes to museums with me, and he finds them very interesting, and he enjoys learning about these things from me, but archaeology itself is not something that's in his wheelhouse. In my last archaeology news video, I mentioned the Vesuvius project, which is where they've basically done a bunch of x-rays and 3D scans of carbonized scrolls from a library that was destroyed by Vesuvius at Herculaneum. And they're using AI to try and read these scrolls. And they have prizes for it. So like the first two people that deciphered it won 40 and 10K respectively, but there's like a total prize fund of like almost like $1 million. So I read about that and I was like, hey, because that's what my husband does. I was like, you want to have a look at this? Like maybe we could have some extra money to be able to buy a house from this. And he was kind of marginally interested, but then I think he saw that there's a deadline for the contest that's like this December, and he's like, it's a bit too late for me to really get involved in this. But I definitely think if we had found about it earlier and he had applied himself to it, he probably could have done something with it. I don't know if he would have won the prize or anything, but I guess we'll just never know. But his specialty in engineering and machine learning is engineering. He does a lot of stuff with like renewable energy and stuff like that, and he builds bikes and he knows his way around an engine and stuff. He knows how to code and all that stuff, but he's not particularly like a software engineer. That's just kind of, it's an accessory to what he does. And he applied machine learning and AI to engineering rather than being an AI person that's involved in the other way around, I guess. 80 hours of work goes into one bag, and I charge for my time. Well done. I mean, I'd like no shade at all for charging that much money for a backpack. You charge what people will pay and for your time. And I wish that archaeologists were able to charge equal amounts of value for our time, because we are criminally underpaid. I used to do a bit of leatherwork long ago. Walls and the like. Are they okay with Canadians though? Pre-modernist. Oh my gosh, guys! Pre-modernist is here. Oh, pre-modernist. If you're on the stream still, I discovered your videos this week, and I watched your time traveling back into medieval times. I thought it was absolutely fascinating. I also loved your Genghis Khan videos, and I was going to reach out to you to do an interview on my channel, but then I saw that you try to keep yourself quite anonymous, so I didn't reach out because of that. If you'd like to be interviewed on my channel or do a collaboration, let me know. I would love to be able to do a video like what he did on like time traveling back into ancient Egypt, but at the moment my knowledge and experience of what it would be like day to day is not quite there to be able to make a video on it. But I definitely watched that and was like, that would be an amazing kind of video to aspire to make. Are they okay with... most of the orders I get are wallets, passports, coasters, smaller bags. People commission special things. I charge what the work is worth. Fair enough. Super cool. Yeah. Having one with those skills together. Yeah, I would love to, like, I want to, I thought about reaching out to Ashwood Candles and seeing if she wanted to do something together for Christmas and whatever, but again, like, I'm just such a bad salesperson. I don't feel very good about asking a small business to provide something to me for free or something like that if I can't guarantee returns, and I just don't feel like my channel's big enough for that yet. But it's, yeah, definitely I would love to be able to in future help promote small businesses or people that are doing stuff like that, working on creating goods that are related to ancient history. This is something that, like, especially like museums, sometimes I spot good things for it. Like, if you go into a museum gift shop, they'll have sometimes like little replicas or jewelry. Like, jewelry is the one that I would love, is like to do a line of jewelry that recreates ancient jewelry that people wore. I would love to like work together with somebody to do that. There is like a jeweler in Egypt who does like very high end jewelry for sale, like actual gold and diamonds and all that stuff. But again, like I my channel's just like not big enough for me to be able to approach people and be like, hey, give me free stuff in exchange for selling, for like promoting it on my channel. Like I feel like I have to be, you know, having like at least 10,000 subscribers to be able to get those kinds of deals. But yeah. Thanks. Oh, pre-modernist. Well, thank you for coming. Hopefully you enjoy my stream and you can come back another time. Yeah. Okay. Speaking of orders, I have to drop off of the post office, get to work. Had fun here. I'll be back. See you later, Lima Zulu Tango. Have a good time at the post office. We're just about to finish anyway to go straight into my video premiere on Ask an Archaeologist with my new friend Dahshur. Woohoo! Oh, look, and we just beat the level, guys. Yes! I've got like 5 minutes to go. I'm so pleased with myself. I'm so happy that Pharaoh's happy. Well, that the king's happy.
Magnificent and outshines any monument built in the past.
So the next level. This is our preview for next week. North Dashur. We get to build the Red Pyramid. Woohoo! So that's why I didn't talk about it too much today, is I wanted to save to talk more about it later. And I'll have to find some other stuff to talk about. So maybe I'll do a little bit more next week about Queen Hetepheres as well, and find out some more stuff for the Old Kingdom and the Fourth Dynasty. So cool stuff. All right, game is saved. We'll go back to the family registry in the main menu for a little bit. I'm gonna go grab my book that is like, if I made a jewelry line, this is the stuff that I would kind of make. I'm gonna take 2 seconds and then we're gonna wrap up the stream and then we're gonna go. I can't find where I put it on the bookshelf, guys. So, so we'll have it next week. Next week I will have my jewelry book to show you guys on the stream. Right. Yeah, like jewelry in ancient times is like next level kind of stuff. I would love to be able to like recreate some of it. Anyway, we're about to end the stream and go into the premiere for my latest video. I've mentioned it like 6 times in the past 2 minutes. Ask an Archaeologist. This stream is going, when I end this stream, it's going to direct you straight to the premiere of that video, so you literally don't have to do anything. If you want to watch it, you can just stay on the screen and you'll get directed automatically through. If it's not your bag and you're not interested in joining us for that, that's totally okay. I would appreciate if you could give us a like or a subscribe. If you feel really generous, a super thanks or something like that before you go to help support the channel, or just share what we're doing here, put it on your social media, tell everybody how great it is. We'll be doing another stream in 2 weeks' time at the premiere of my next video, which is going to be archaeology news for November. So also you can find me on Instagram. Yeah, don't forget to like the video. Thanks, Matt. Don't forget to like the stream, like the video. Help keep the support going. Let's just like keep the ball rolling, guys. It's Christmas. This is the time of year when the most people are on YouTube and are watching things. So let's grow the channel. I want to do more stuff with it, and I want to make more money off of it so that I can do more stuff with it. So Thank you so much for joining me on this Friday evening. I very much enjoyed playing this level for you, and I hope that you've enjoyed my slightly tweaked format tonight, and I will see you guys on the next stream. Stay curious, and if you're going to come through, I will see you now on the live chat for my next video. Bye!